ASMR. Hey everybody, welcome to my first official collab. This collab is with Miss Parchman's World.
Welcome back to Miss Parchman's World, where we all know food is life. So you should enjoy
Miss Parchman is, well, she's becoming a pretty good friend of mine. You know, we've never met, but, you know, we talk quite a bit on Instagram. And she's a really nice lady. She's really funny. Her husband's really funny. She makes mukbang videos. Mukbang, I'm not sure. I never know how to say it. She makes vlogs. She's really funny. Her husband, who's also really funny. I'm pretty sure I said already a few times they're really funny, but they're really funny. Has been in a couple of her videos. He actually just recently did his own challenge video, so I'll link that below too. But yeah, you can often hear him talking in the back of her videos. They're super nice people. I probably already said that too, but you really need to check Miss Parchman's World channel out. Now, if you're coming from Miss Parchman's World, you might be wondering why I whisper on my channel. It's because even though I do eat on my channel, not all of my videos are eating videos. My channel is an ASMR channel. And if you don't know what ASMR is, I'll link it below. But it's basically videos that are made to relax people. It's not supposed to be anything weird or perverted. It's just basically some people get relaxed and it helps them sleep if they hear people whispering, or if they like to hear eating sounds or gum chewing or tapping. It sounds, if you've never heard of it, it sounds really weird, but trust me, it's a thing. So anyway, Miss Parchman and I decided that, you know, we eat a lot of fun foods on our channel and we wanted to eat something kind of healthy. So we decided to do a veggie collab. I can't remember if she has a veggie tray too or something else, but I got a veggie tray from H-E-B, the local grocery store. Probably should have opened it ahead of time. And it comes with some ranch dipping. So in here there is celery, there's broccoli, there's carrots, and either snow peas or sugar snap peas. I also have some tea. And I just realized that if I end up using the green screen, this cup, even though it's like a turquoise color in real life, might show up as green and not really show up, and that's gonna look weird. Yeah. So we decided that the topic that we would talk about I can double dip because I'm the only one here. Would be something nostalgic like childhood friends or things things we used to do with our childhood friends. Now, on my channel, I have briefly talked about this topic a little bit, but probably most of you haven't seen the video. So when I was younger, I grew up in a very rural area, a very small rural Maine town. And my grade school was literally like a minute and a half walking distance from my driveway. I hope these eating sounds aren't too intense for you. Though if you're watching because you like eating videos, you probably don't care. Anyway. And my grade school was a building that had 2 floors. And it was a K through 8 school. So kindergarten through 8th grade. Kindergarten through 4th grade downstairs. And 5th through 8 upstairs. Now, first and 2nd grade were in the same classroom. 3rd and 4th grade were in the same classroom. Basically, the only grade that had its own grade in the classroom was kindergarten. And when I was in 1st grade, a girl named Tara moved in down the street from me and attended my school. She was in 2nd grade, but even though she was a year ahead, we were in the same classroom. And we were the same age because I had actually gone to preschool for an extra year to get in more socializing, basically something like that, before kindergarten. So we were the same age. Her family was kind of like a Brady Bunch. Her dad had her older sister and her younger brother. And her stepmom had her older sister, her younger brother, and her younger sister. So basically, it was a full house. really fast. Now, when I was younger, even though literally the bus stop, I mean literally the school, was like 1 minute walking distance, I still had to ride the bus. It seems ridiculous, but I was only like 6. When I was 9, they finally let me start walking. But I had to be careful because you cross the road to get to the school, and people drove by there insanely fast. Anyway, the school bus would pick us up right out in front of our houses. And other than when I was back home in Maine for a while, and my son went to one of the local junior highs out there, other than when we were there, we have not lived anywhere during his school years where a bus route has done that. There's always like a designated stop that everyone, collaborates and listens to. Yeah. Anyway, so I could see Tara and her brothers and sisters from my driveway when they were waiting for the bus. And we would all make like howling sounds like wolves and stuff until the bus came. Now, I was one of those kids that I would get invited to spend the night at sleepovers and things like that. But if I attempted to stay, I think all but one of the times that I did it, and it wasn't that many, that I actually went or attempted to spend the night, they'd end up calling my mom to come and get me, because I just liked sleeping at home better. Tara, however, loved spending the night at my house. Maybe it was like a break, because I only had 2 siblings, one of which was like a toddler at the time, like a baby, and she had so many. So she slept at my house like almost every weekend, and during the summer, like, her stepmom would have to request that she come home for a while, because she practically lived at my house. We would, we would watch My Little Pony and Care Bears. We did a lot of playing with Barbies. We rode bikes up and down the street. I mean, this was the very late 80s, like, probably like 88, 87, 88. when we were 9 years old, we'd ride our bikes like 20 minutes down the street, and our parents didn't feel like they had to follow us. I'm sure some kids still do that today, but you just don't see it as much. And in my opinion, technology is only a very small reason for that. I think it's more like the news has bombarded us 24/7 about any possible worst case scenario that could happen. So, you know, when we were younger, our parents didn't have to come outside with us. They didn't have to ride bikes with us, follow us up and down the street. Not that there's anything wrong with hanging out with your kid and exercising with them. It's just our parents didn't feel they had to do that. You know, they could be like, hey, I want to clean the living room and I want you out of my sight, so go ride your bike, go do something outside. You know, so they'd stay inside and do that. There was actually a very small thrift store up the street. Out of a friend's mother's done-over basement. She sold lollipops and candy, and then of course clothes and toys and things like that. So we'd ride our bikes up there and, you know, spend 50 cents on a big huge lollipop. And it was okay because we knew her. So we did things like that. We walked down to, we called it the shore. There was a road a few minutes away from my house where if you walked for like 12 minutes, at the end of the road there was a shoreline with rushing water where people would go and pick for clam or dig for clams on the shoreline, and sometimes you'd see horseshoe crabs. There was a really strong current in the water there though, so if you wanted to wade your feet in, it wasn't a good idea to go out very far. We played with a lot of Barbies. A lot of Barbies. We ate a lot of pizza. We snuck into an R-rated movie. Well, I mean, technically, my mom knew. It was basically one of those things where she was okay with us seeing the movie, but she wanted to see a different movie. with my younger brother. So she got the tickets and was basically like, hey, you know, don't make yourself noticeable in there. And we were like, we were 11 or 12. It was not really, I mean, my parents never really censored me from TV and movies, or video games or anything like that. So to me, it wasn't really a big deal. It's just, you know, like movie theater policies and stuff. It was the movie Mobsters. So to give you an idea of how small my grade school was, when I was in 6th grade and my best friend was in 7th grade, we only had one 8th grader. Literally one 8th grader. And that year, I think there was a lot of budget problems. They were having a hard time paying the small amount of teachers that they had as it was. So they decided, they had a vote, that our school would drop down to like 5th grade, 4th or 5th grade, and everyone in grades older than that would be transferred to different schools in the area. So my friend and I would be going to a local junior high the following year. This I've spoken about in another video, but again, you might not have seen it. I was terrified, but what got me through that summer waiting for it to happen was knowing that, at least, even though she'd be not in the same classroom anymore, that my best friend would be with me that first year to get through it, to get through being the new kid, to get through any teasing, any adjustments. I'd be going in with the other kids too, but I wasn't as close with the other kids. I really like the other kids, but they weren't my best friend. Then, about, I don't know, it might have been a month, like 4 weeks, 3 weeks, I'm not exactly sure, before we were set to leave. I mean, before we were set to start at the new school. My best friend was hit with some bad news. Her parents, very last minute, and I still don't know why. It might have been to escape the weather because her stepmom had really bad arthritis. Could have been for another reason, I'm not really sure. But they had decided that they were going to relocate to Alabama, where the stepmother was from. To say that we were both devastated was an understatement. And being, you know, a 12-year-old frustration and my fear and my sadness for about 5 seconds. I was upset at my friend about it, even though it clearly wasn't her fault. My mom snapped me out of that real fast. We spent the last couple of weeks together doing a lot of stuff. Like, my mom took us to beaches, she took us to my aunt's pool to swim. I believe the last movie that we saw together before she moved, and this will give you an indication of how old I am, I was just about to turn 13, and we went to the mall, and I remember I bought something really stupid, like a set of Three Stooges dolls from like Spencer's Gift or something. And then we went to the movie theater to watch Hocus Pocus. And then a couple weeks later, I was waving out the window as they drove by on their journey to Alabama. It was very upsetting, and my first year at the new junior high, when I turned 13 that September and was in the 7th grade, it wasn't a happy time. I don't want to rehash that, but it wasn't a happy time. 8th grade was much better for me. Now Tara and I would write letters to each other. This was a couple years before, email really took off for the general public. And we would, so like, my mom had actually bought us both stamps and some nice, fun stationery before she left, so that we could write to each other. So we wrote actual, physical letters, and that was nice. And she came up to visit me pretty much every summer, until the summer that I started working right after high school. And the next time that she visited me, she visited me the summer of junior year. And then the next time I saw her, so that was like 1990, the summer of 1998. The next time I saw her was the summer of 2000. And I was working and had a live-in boyfriend at my own apartment. And she came to stay with us, and we did some fun things with my family. But it was very awkward for the both of us. She didn't really care for my boyfriend, and we had never, since we missed basically our puberty years together and seeing each other all the time during that time, we didn't know how to react to one of us having a relationship. And, it wasn't the most pleasant of visits for us. But years later, in like 2006, she came out to California, where my husband and I were living, when my son was like 2. And it was a really nice visit. things had changed by then. You know, we were more grown up, more mature. So it was a really nice visit. And I think the sad thing, and I hate saying this because this is not something that you would normally tell someone whose close friend was moving away and they were really sad about it. You know, you always say, we'll still be best friends. You always tell them, you can still be best friends. You can write each other. You can visit. Nothing has to change. And the sad reality is that for most people, you know, not everyone, but most people, if you've moved around more than once, or your friends from childhood moved around more than once, the friendship does fade a little bit. It's really, really, really sad. You know, we still talk on Facebook sometimes. I still love her. You know, I still consider her a friend. But, you know, we missed so many years together. And it sounds cliche and cheesy, but basically, my husband has been my best friend since like 2003. You know, and I have another pretty close friend, no, really close friend. I have another really close friend that I met my junior year in high school, and it's an interesting relationship because, you know, we were both, well, I was really quiet and she was more outgoing than I was, but we honestly did not hang out outside of high school until after high school. And then she went away to join the military for a couple of years, and then she came back, and, you know, we reconnected again, and then I met my husband, and we got married, and I went with him because he was in the military at the time, and I went to live in Hawaii and Northern California and Guam, Washington, and then Maine, and now Texas. You know, he's not in the military anymore, but anyway, my point is that, you know, we still talk, and we actually talk a lot more than myself and my childhood friend Tara do. Yeah, I don't know, it's funny. Like, you definitely would not tell someone the reality of the situation. Like, I remember before we moved out here to Texas, my son got to graduate 8th grade in Maine, and I knew that we were moving to Texas as kind of like a final place, so he'd be starting high school without the friends that he made from 5th through 8th grade, and that terrified me for him and like hurt my heart because I knew how much it sucked for me when my best friend moved away. Now, my son had gotten used to moving around, but, you know, the first 2 times that we moved, he was a baby, then like 1st grade. So this was like the first, like, oh, I made some friends, I came out of my shell move. So he wouldn't be starting high school with those kids, and it bothered me, but my mom pointed out to me that when I started that junior high, without my best friend, I was starting with all the kids that I had grown up with at the junior high over the course of the 2 years I was there. In high school, I had maybe one or two of them in the same class as me, all 4 years. I rarely even saw them, except for at assemblies and things like that. So my mom reminded me that just because sorry, I got cut off. This video has been way too long. Basically, my mom said even if he had been able to stay and go to high school locally at the high school that I went to with his friends from junior high, it didn't mean that he was actually going to get to have any classes with them. He might not even have the same lunch with them. And the thing to be grateful for was that at least coming year, he would be starting freshman year and not, leaving in the middle of a year or something. So there was that. But anyway, oh, real quick, I'm sorry this is so long. I should have gotten my thoughts together better, but one of the best things that my best friend Tara and I used to do when she would come visit me over those summers was to rent 70s, 80s, and 90s horror movies. Like all of them. From the local movie gallery video rental place. Grab some Pepsi, order a pizza, and we would binge watch horror movies. And to this day, that's still one of my most favorite things. Freddy, Jason Voorhees, Sleepaway Camp, The Candyman, big favorites of mine. But anyway, I did not mean this video to be so long. I didn't expect to mindlessly eat all these vegetables either. So I'm gonna end this. Please check out Miss Parchman's World channel. It's down below. Yeah.